Hello. Uh, Welcome to the show. You may notice, if you're just tuning in, something a little bit different. Normally, this time, it's myself and my brother Jose. And Jose is doing the intro, getting pumped, saying hello to everybody in the chat. But Jose is not feeling well right now. He's going to try and join the show a little bit later. So we are joined by our good friend and co-host, oftentimes co-host, Ferris. How are you doing tonight, Ferris?
I'm doing good, Brodny. I'm doing good, man. And you know what? I like to shout out people in the chat, man. Shout out to the homies Noah. Shout out to Bazel. He in the chat. Yeah, Bazel. Shout out to AMP. And then shout out to Just Allo in the chat too, man. Shout out to him.
What's going on, Just Allo?
Yeah, man. We'll talk about that, Just Allo. We'll talk about that in a bit.
Wow. I'll still calling people there. And shout out to Adelia, our fantastic producer, who got us started right on time this week. I wanted to point that out since Jose is not here. Thank you very much. We're going to endeavor to make that the starting time every single week, but we'll see. We did get a super chat from Jared. Thank you very much. He says, "What's up, fellas?" Not much. I mean, not much for fans of the Baltimore Ravens or the Carolina Panthers. There is something going on for fans of the New York Giants, like our friend Ferris is, but we'll get into that in just a little bit. We have we have a bit to cover. A good bit to cover. We've got a lot to cover on the overtime show today, but we'll get into it. We're going to talk a little bit of Ravens, a little bit of Carolina Panthers, little updates leading to the draft. We're going to talk a little bit of the NCAA Women's Championship and what happened after that game with the two coaches, Geno Auriemma and Dawn Staley.
Semifinal. Got you.
Yeah. Sorry, the semifinal, not the championship. And we had one other story. Let me see if I have it here still. Yes, we are going to also talk about Jay Bilas and John Calipari. Calipari being upset that he can no longer just outspend everyone. So we can, have a team full of fantastic freshmen and go into the tournament and embarrass themselves.
Pretty much.
But, and anything else that comes up. But first, as always, we like to start out giving out some shout outs to the chat. Appreciate everybody coming in here and joining us every week. What else do we have in here? We've got Myron. Thank you very much. And Myron is correct. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Also hit that subscribe button. We've got our guy Urban. I saw, I believe you posting multiple questions on the submitted questions posts.
Shout out to Urban.
We'll get to that in a little
bit.
Love
engagement.
Thank you very much. And the other thing that we like to do every week is we like to start out with a Black History fact. And Okole has a Black History fact for you.
This week on the LBHT Black History Fact, Aaron Jackson's path to Olympic greatness is a story of talent meeting relentless drive. Born in Ocala, Florida in 1992, she first made her name on wheels rather than ice, dominating inline speed skating and roller derby, with dozens of national titles and multiple world championship medals. For years, she was one of the fastest women on wheels in the world, long before she ever considered competing on frozen tracks. Her leap to ice skating in 2017 was almost unbelievable in its speed. Within a single season of learning an entirely new surface and technique, she qualified for the 2018 Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang, becoming one of the rare athletes to reach the Games so soon after switching sports. Though she finished outside medal contention, she gained experience that would shape her rise. By 2021, Jackson had transformed into the world's premier 500-meter sprinter, breaking World Cup records and consistently finishing atop international podiums. A slip during the 2022 U.S. trials nearly cost her a return to the Olympics, but teammate Brodny gave up her spot so Jackson could compete. Jackson seized the moment in Beijing, winning gold in the 500 meters and becoming the first black woman to win an individual Winter Olympic gold medal. Since then, she has continued to collect World Cup victories while balancing academic pursuits in engineering, computer science, kinesiology, and business. She also uses her platform to expand access to winter sports for young athletes, especially girls and athletes of color, ensuring that her impact reaches far beyond the ice.
All right. Well, shout out to Aaron Jackson. Congratulations, making history this past February. We got a few more people in the chat. And Rob Noble, thank you very much for joining us this evening. But we're going to go ahead and just jump right into it, Ferris. The Ravens had a pretty disastrous season this past year, right?
Yeah, I would agree.
Defense is awful.
Yeah, as a man who's an expert in disastrous seasons, yes, I agree.
The defense was awful. The O-line was pretty terrible. Lamar got hurt, missed a few games. Mm-hmm. They missed the playoffs. Ended up firing John Harbaugh, which was a shock to a lot of people, I think. But Ravens fans rejoiced, right? Everybody was happy. It's a brand new day in Baltimore. They come into the offseason needing 2 starting guards for sure. Okay, because Falele, Andrew Voorhees, not it. Right, Falele, free agent, and you just don't want Andrew Voorhees anywhere near the starting lineup. Tyler Linderbaum was also a free agent, and unfortunately, he departed. He went to the Las Vegas Raiders for a rather exorbitant amount of money. So, congrats to him. He earned it. That's great. But the Ravens had not really done much to upgrade that O-line, right? So now they need 2 guards, they need a center. They go out and they get John Simpson, who previously played for the Ravens, wasn't very good. Now we're just kind of in a holding pattern, right?
Yeah.
And we're sitting here waiting. They're not signing any. They signed a couple of guys with not a lot of experience, nobody that you would really expect or want to be a starter. And so everybody's kind of just out there watching and waiting and seeing what Baltimore's going to do. And Ravens fans in particular were watching one individual, and they were keeping tabs on this guy, and they were hoping against hope that he would not come back. Mm-hmm. His name was Daniel Falele, and today they got the news that he is in fact not going to be coming back. He is following his former head coach to the New York Giants. How? For those who don't know, Ferris, diehard New York Giants fan. How are you feeling about that? I saw somebody was kind of teasing, Falele on one side, Evan Neal on the other, protecting your new starting quarterback, Jackson Dart, who already has had some injury issues. How you feeling?
Not good, man. Not good at all. All right. So let's talk about this nonsense, man. Literally, he's horrible. He's horrible. He's 6'8" of nothing. You know when Jose says this all the time, right? Size isn't a skill. And you know what? I'll be like, I agree, right? But you usually pick the skilled big guy over the skilled small guy. But the skilled small guy always beats out the big guy because the big guy is just big. Well, I always go to Duke Manyweather. Shout out to Duke. Duke Manyweather says, you just can't mix and match offensive linemen. You can't do that. Not all offensive linemen can do that. Zach Martin, yeah, because Zach Martin. But you can't take a former left tackle at Minnesota and say, I'm going to put him at right guard and see if it works. It didn't work.
He was a right tackle at Minnesota. I just want to stop you real quick.
He left?
No, he played almost exclusively right, I thought there.
Oh, okay.
But we did get a super chat from Amp. Thank you very much. He says, how you feeling, Ferris? And then several laughing emojis, concussion dart, and then several crying emojis. I don't think that he feels like it's going to go well for your
no
over there.
Marshall Green tweeted out, he got a text message. Basically said, this guy ruined an organization. Mm-hmm. That's how bad he is. He ruined an organization.
That's some hyperbole. All right.
It's hyperbole.
It wasn't all on.
I think it was hyperbole. I think he was just the epitome of the nonsense of John Harbaugh, because like we said, right? I think Jose, we revealed like he's known Daniel Falele since he was like what 12 or 14 when he was at that Australian camp. So he's known him all his life. He's not good. You know, he's not good. And you know what? Good guards are not in abundance, you know, in the NFL.
Yeah. They're
just not. And he just stinks. He's not a good football player. You know, like a lot of people talk about like, oh, like because evaluating offensive linemen, even for like NFL people, it's hard because they're the only group that's kind of a unit. They move together. Depending on scheme, one offensive lineman can be good, another offensive lineman can be bad, right? It depends on scheme. Because look at the offensive lineman in San Francisco for Kyle Shanahan. Colt McKivitz, Jake Brendel. You take them off on another team, they probably aren't good, but they fit the zone running scheme of the Shanahans. Or same thing, like name an offensive lineman of the Rams. You don't know any of them because they find scheme fits. Yeah. So evaluating offensive linemen, you don't really know if someone's good or bad because depending on scheme. But we know for a fact he's not good. He is not good. Regardless of scheme, he stinks. He stinks.
Okay. I mean, I think you're in it right now, right? You're feeling a lot. You're having a lot of big feelings. But I can't say that you're wrong, honestly. Like there's so many clips of him just standing on the field, not making physical contact with anyone, which is amazing when you start out about 6 inches away from the face of the person you're supposed to be blocking.
Brodny,
right?
He's like this,
looking around, and can't find anybody.
He can't find nobody. Even though the guy lines up in front of his face, Brodny, and he can't find no one.
Another super chat from Kobe. Thank you very much. It says, I'm from New York and John ain't ready for the media when the honeymoon ends. For one, there are 4 times the reporters and they don't like people playing in their face. Thank you very much, Kobe. Appreciate that. Thank you very much for the super chat. It says no more 77. It's a party at Baltimore.
Yeah,
right?
Oh my God.
It is a party. Like he wasn't even on the roster, but the fear was there that he could possibly come back because they just hadn't made any other significant moves. But now he's gone for good. He's going to be part of that rebuilt. Rebuilt's not really the right word, but that different offensive line that you've got in New York, trying to protect Jackson Dart, running that Greg Roman offense. It's hey, you know what though? You know what? You're gonna be picking real high next year, so like that's something to look forward to.
Yeah,
that's something to look forward to. That's fantastic.
Come on down, Jeremiah Smith.
Before we move on, I did want to ask you as well. How do you feel about Dexter Lawrence and the trade request? Do you think that he should be on the move? What do you think the Giants should be looking for in return? Why do you think he's such a great fit in Carolina?
Well, one, because here's the thing, right? If you say defensive tackle, he's probably top 10. Mm-hmm. But if you say nose tackle, he's the best nose tackle in the NFL.
Okay.
There are some metrics that say he's the best nose tackle in NFL history. If you will believe those metrics, sure, it is what it is. He would be perfect for you guys. He alleviates the pain of,
Start already got concussion issues. God, Good luck, bro. Thank you very much, Kobe. Appreciate it.
But here's the thing, too, is
go ahead.
This is like, okay, I'm not saying like they're the same type of player because one's Myles Garrett and the other one's Dexter Lawrence. They're one of the best players at each position, depending on the position. Nose tackle, defensive end. It's the same thing we had with Myles Garrett 2 years ago. Get me out of here. Here's $80 million. I'm staying. Yeah. He wants a raise. Give him his raise, move on. That's what you got to do. Give him his raise, move on. But the problem is, right, it doesn't really feel good when we talk about that, then your head coach say in a press conference, everybody's tradable. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And he makes a joke to Dan Duggan. They're like, oh, I'll trade you, Dan. Because here's the thing, too. Shout out to Kobe. He pointed out earlier. Yo, man, don't piss off the media. Like with the New York media, they don't need you to like them to make their money. They actually enjoy it when it's a combative relationship because people will read the reports of the combative relationship. Right. Like they're not here to kiss. Trust me, they're going to give him some grace early on. But if he starts playing in their face, like Kobe said, and he starts making these little jokes, trust me, they're gonna rip him apart. They're gonna rip him apart.
They're gonna try, but John's always the smartest guy in the room, right?
Yeah,
that's what he thought down here in Baltimore.
Yeah.
I don't think that act's gonna work very well in New York once you start losing games.
No.
Certainly not if you move players like Dexter Lawrence. There's a lot of people who think that maybe he's gonna be moving and I can't remember. I can't remember his name now. The wide receiver.
Malik Neighbors?
Yeah, and that's just pure speculation from the idea that John Harbaugh doesn't like to have uber talented players. He doesn't like people who are going to speak their mind and things like that. Kobe, thank you very much again for the super chat. It says at nose tackle Lawrence has 108 pressures. Number 2 is Vea at 32. So quite a gap.
Depends on the position you're evaluating.
I found out this year that being dominant and much better than everyone else at your position doesn't mean anything. Derrick Brown didn't get comeback player of the year. Derrick Brown didn't make it to the Pro Bowl. Derrick Brown wasn't an all-pro. Nobody cares.
They be hating on Derrick Brown, bro. They be hating on Derrick Brown. They be hating on Derrick Brown because that log jam at defensive tackle for years. It's Aaron Donald's fault, basically. But now they be hating on the guy. But yeah, man. Not everyone's tradable. You don't trade Dexter Lawrence. You don't trade Malik Neighbors. You don't do that.
No, hold on.
You know what I mean?
Hold on. Okay. Sure, you have Dexter Lawrence. Sure, you have Brian Burns. Sure, you just drafted Abdul Carter. Sure, you have Kayvon Thibodeau. And that's the makings of just a fearsome defensive front. But again, and I asked you this earlier, but isn't it more important to complete the front in Carolina if you can be a part of that?
No,
send Dexter. No, I'm not even finished. I'm not even finished.
No.
I'm not even finished. If you can send Dexter to the Panthers for, let's say, a 3rd and a 5th.
Absolutely
not. Okay, see, again, I'm not finished. And Xavier Legette.
No.
Right? Well, you're not even thinking about it.
Brodny. So we literally just talked about how bad Daniel Fa'alele is. You want to know who also stinks? Xavier Legette. Don't even
say that. Oh no. He listen. No.
Let me tell you.
I will allow a lot of things. I will allow a lot of things, but you're not going to sit here and tell me that Xavier Legette is as bad as Daniel Fa'alele because it's just not true.
Okay, fine. Okay, but there's a stat you told me that he is 100 out of 100 on easy catches. So he was dead last on catches that he was wide open and uncontested catches. He was dead last. Those can be the toughest ones, man. You get in your own head, he'll be fine. No, they're not the hardest ones. They're not the hardest ones, Larry. No, Brodny. They're not the hardest. Because Larry Fitzgerald has more tackles than drops. Okay, so no.
Okay, that's a fake stat, is what that.
That's
is.
A real stat.
No, it's not. Everybody has their own criteria for what a drop is. A few years ago, everybody was like, "Oh, DeAndre Hopkins didn't drop a pass all year," and there were multiple highlights of him dropping passes. That depends on your criteria for what a drop is. Xavier Legette is big. Xavier Legette is strong. Xavier Legette is fast, and if he is moved from Carolina, he will then have it in his head that he really needs to lock in. And listen, there's nothing but opportunity in New York.
You know what's funny? You said that. Okay. You said he's big, strong, and fast. You didn't say his catching ability.
I didn't get to that part yet because we have a super chat from Kobe. Barbs likes controllable players. You can chart Baltimore's descent into underachieving with the systematic removal of problem players like Marcus Peters. That's a fact. And if Malik Neighbors, if he wants to make a little noise, we can find a spot in Carolina for him too, real fast. But no, you want to get into Xavier Legette's ability. And I'm sorry, this is off on a tangent, but we'll go ahead and finish this off before we jump into the Ravens and Panthers talk. Xavier Legette, when he has the ball in his hands, again, very strong, very fast, tough to bring down. Honestly, I'm not even sure how true that is. But listen, if he can plant his feet on the grass in bounds and not worry about that part of it, he'll catch the ball. Okay. If he has to worry about getting his feet in and catching the ball, You're going to run into some problems there. But, he's coming into year 3. He's going to make that leap. And you're going to look like a genius bringing in Xavier Legette at this point.
So if Xavier Legette
yes,
finally figures out how to play wide receiver, he'd be a good wide receiver. So it's basically what you're saying to me.
I mean, listen, if you want to take what I said and then like reshape it and use a bunch of different words to try to make me sound dumb, then I mean, I guess technically, that's another way that you could put it. I didn't put it that way. You put it that way. What I said is he needs a change of scenery because he's very comfortable in Carolina, right? He was a first round pick. He underachieved and they let him continue to play. It's a nice atmosphere down there. There's not a lot of scrutiny on the Panthers. To Kobe's point, the media is the opposite of the New York media, right? They don't care, whatever. He's just kind of he's a little complacent right now, it seems. Take him out of Carolina and drop him into New York and light a fire under him. So
basically,
boom.
What you're saying to me?
Jay,
no, absolutely not.
XL is the next Chris Carter if he gets on another team.
Well, no,
Facts.
well, XL, there's a difference because Chris Carter had drug issues, not talent issues. Okay, there's a difference. All right?
They manifest the same. Okay.
You know what, man? You're basically saying what you just said is basically like if you get in the shower, you'll get wet. Like, of course. You basically said if he becomes a good receiver, he'll become a good receiver. He's not a good receiver.
SB Cam said, Ferris, you should listen to me on this one. Thank you, SB Cam. Appreciate that. All he needs is a change of scenery. Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. Also, you know what? And to be fair, to be 100% fair here, because I'm not trying to paint this as some, oh man, he's this diamond in the rough or whatever, right? Maybe he just wasn't suited to be a number 1. And he came into Carolina. The offense wasn't good. Bryce was struggling, and he was supposed to be the guy, and he just couldn't handle it. But he's not going to be the guy in New York, is he?
No.
He's going to be on the other side of Malik Neighbors. Okay.
Well, we don't know if Malik Neighbors is going to come back healthy and
Malik is fine. Malik is fine.
Hopefully.
All right. And you're going to put him on the other side of Malik, and he's going to thrive because you know what defense is going to be paying attention to? The frat boys, Jackson and Cam. All right, they're not gonna be worried about that.
No, here's the thing. Why trade for a guy going towards the end of his rookie deal? Why not draft a guy and control him for 4 to 5 years? You know what I mean? Because nowadays, a lot of people aren't giving these contracts for wide receivers, man. You got to be special to get these contracts.
First off, he's coming into his 3rd year, which means there's 3 years left on that deal. So calm down. Okay. Second of all, y'all suck at drafting wide receivers. That's just what it is.
That's actually not true.
That's just what it is. Oh, it's
not. We found Victor Cruz, Hakeem.
That was a very first of all, you didn't draft Victor Cruz, and that was a very long time ago. Hakeem Nicks underachieved.
That's pretty good. Odell Beckham Jr.
Okay, yeah, you can draft guys at the top of the draft. That ain't saying nothing.
Well, it says a lot. Some people
got Malik Neighbors too. Congrats.
Some people mess up those draft picks. Okay, you ever heard of Justin Gilbert?
For Justin Gilbert. I'm talking about you can't draft people later. And then when you do, you let them walk anyway, Wan'Dale Robinson.
Steve Smith?
Mario
Manningham?
Mario, he wasn't good. Okay, come on now. Let's calm it down there.
Amari Toomer? just
boom. Proven commodity, unlike a rookie.
Proven commodity that stinks.
Listen. The chat is on your ass on this one. All right. As a matter of fact, Ferris, XL can be this generation's Giants fans.
Jay ain't lying. I know you lying, bro. Just the lies. Let's stop the lies.
Okay. Since you brought it up, you're talking about controlling rookies, getting players on those cheap contracts, as opposed to kind of trading for guys and having to pay them and all that. With the departure of Daniel Faalele, where do you think the Baltimore Ravens should be going with that 14th pick?
Honestly, if it was me,
if it was,
if it's not the sexy, I'm going guard, bro. I'm going Vega. I'm going guard. Vega. I'm going guard straight up. That's what I'm saying.
I hear that, and that would be my pick as well. But let me ask you this: if Vega is not available, let's say Vega goes early. Let's say Maunoa is gone. Let's say Fano is gone. And Vega's gone. Where are you going at number 14 at that point?
So you either go Weapon or Lomu.
You think Lomu at 14?
Yeah, but he's projected in the 20s. That's the issue.
Yeah.
I would go weapon.
Okay. Which weapons are you liking in this one?
I mean, let me look up this. Let me look up the draft board.
We got, Carnell Tate's probably going to be gone, but you got Makai Lemon, you got Jordan Tyson, Kenyon Sadiq, and let me tell you something, chat. I am not liking this recent trend of Baltimore Ravens fans and some content creators as well, saying that they like Kenyon Sadiq at 14. They're warming up to Kenyon Sadiq. Hands off. All right, he's going to Carolina at 19.
I would go receiver because you can get a good tight end in the second and third rounds. All right, so I would at 14 on the CBS board they've been flip flopping right. At one point they had Tate, at one point they had Casey Concepcion, and at one point depending on who you talk to they got Jordan Tyson. Right, me I'm going Lemon or Casey Concepcion.
Okay, so you weren't scared off by Makai Lemon's act at the combine.
No, that's not because if Tate's already gone. And Tyson, you can roll the dice, but health wise, it's a little iffy, right? People also been questioning his toughness, which I don't agree with. I think he's very tough. I think the issue is he's hurt. He's really hurt.
Wow, Kwame, none of these receivers are worth a first rounder after Tate. That's bold.
I don't agree. I think Jordan Tyson is a first rounder. I just think it's the injury thing. It's just gonna drop him a little. Yeah. I think that's the issue, and I think Malachi Lemon too, because also too, right? It's a Malachi Lemon wide receiver, Makai, in a Lincoln Riley offense, and we know all about the wide receivers in Lincoln Riley's offense. It's CeeDee Lamb, Drake. No, just I guess CeeDee Lamb. I guess only. Oh wow, I realize that just CeeDee Lamb. But yeah, so you go receiver because here's the thing about the tight ends, right? People talk about, Kenyon Sadiq, which is cool, right? But, you also got Eli Stovers, you got Max Clare, the Ohio State guy, but he's from Purdue. He was the best tight end in the portal. He's one of the best tight ends in the year, the previous year at Purdue. You got Michael Trigg from Baylor. So you have a couple of good tight ends, right? And Jack Enders from Cal, who transferred to Texas.
Jolie.
Yeah, Justin Jolie. Because here's the thing about tight ends in college, right? You look at the numbers and you're like, oh, was he a good tight end? The numbers don't say that. But with tight ends in college, it's kind of like you got to project. Yeah. You got to are they good? Because I think George Kittle was one of the best tight ends in the league. What's up?
Look who it is.
What is going on?
A tidy 30 minutes late for his own show. Incredible.
Hey, spoiler
How
alert.
you feeling?
I ain't gonna make it through. I just want to say what's up real quick and chime in. Like for those of you that watch the morning show, you guys know what I'm dealing with, and yeah, it's a struggle. It's a struggle. I'm still drinking that solution. It's prep for tomorrow. Got procedure tomorrow. We had a whole conversation this morning about it, so they know what's up. But yeah, it's rough. It's rough. So where are we at right now? I want to chime in on a few things.
We're talking 14.
We were talking 14 after we got Ferris's insight on the Daniel Falele signing. He is thrilled. He is loving it.
I heard that part of it. Oh, and real quick, let me give a shout out to my son Jacob, man, because Jacob, as you know, our assistant producer, he saw the notification that the show went live. He knew I was upstairs, and he was like, "This is wrong." And he was like, he came upstairs like, "Dad, the show started. It's live." I was like, It's all right. It's all right. Uncle Brodny's got it. Mr. Ferris got it. It's good.
Mr. Ferris.
Mr. Ferris.
Please.
Yeah. I mean, he's 11. Okay.
Yeah.
But yes, shout out to my son for making sure that everything was good with the show.
Yes.
What's going on, chat? What's going on, Flex Zone? Edmund, I see y'all in here. Kwame, appreciate y'all. All right, so 14th pick. I did hear Ferris's rant about Falele, and
I asked Ferris, where would he go at 14 if Mal, Noah, Fano, and Vega are all gone?
Okay, it's funny. Somebody asked that question earlier today. They asked that earlier in the chat. It depends on who's on the board. I've done about 50 mock drafts so far. Now, here's what here's my ideal situation for the Ravens. We're able to consolidate as many of those of our picks between the first round and the fourth round, right? Get out of the fifth, sixth, and seventh round as much as possible. We have a lot of draft picks. We got 10 draft picks. I think at least half of them, if not more, are later than the fourth round. So if it's a scenario where, we talked about some other people that might be available, Emmanuel Pregnon, whoever, like there's a couple other people we kind of identified. If they're there, we think we can drop back a few picks, not a bunch of picks. We can go back a few picks, and then we're able to leverage that by taking a third round. Like, we'll drop back, we'll take our third round, and then trade with somebody, and they'll give us an earlier pick, like a later second round pick or something like that. Just something to where we can kind of just move up the draft later on in the draft, but still get what we need in the first round. But in terms of who to pick, if those guys are off the board, it really depends on who's left. Like, is Jordan Love off the board?
Yes, he's been in the pros for several years.
Jordan Love plays for the Packers.
Jeremiah,
I said Jordan Love. Yeah.
Jeremiah, I think is going in the top 5. I think he's long gone.
I think he goes to Tennessee.
Oh, yeah.
Something, Houston should have done with David Carr with Reggie, but they were like, no, not Reggie.
I don't want to just trade down just to trade down, Kwame. Like, we have to have a plan, right? And this is a good question that we're asking now, and I hope they're asking that question too. I hope they have a true big board where they're looking at the not just talent but the need. And I don't want to trade down for the sake of trading down just to say, hey, there's more value later on in the draft. If it's not possible, or there's a risk of not getting the player that we want, take them early. Right, we talk about Pregnon. I'm not saying take Pregnon at 14, but don't be like, oh, he'll be there in the second round, and then the second round comes and he's not there. Then we're screwed. Right? Yeah,
Chaos saying Vega will be there, likely, but just want to say, hey, if he's not, what's Plan B, what's Plan C, etc. Trade back to the late teens or early 20s, Pregnon, Hurst, then draft a center.
Did we say Finals off the board too?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, also too, here's the thing: the name we didn't, Brodny, the name you didn't say. You said Francis, Fanu, and Vega. They're all gone, right? Mm-hmm. There's a tackle skyrocketing up the boards, but a lot of people are scared because of the school he went to and their track record of tricking people. His name is Caden Proctor. He was a starting left tackle for the University of Alabama. A lot of people, Matt Miller used to say all the time, don't draft the helmet, draft the scout. Don't scout the helmet, scout the player. Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? You don't want to scout the helmet or the player at Alabama because they'd be lying. You know what I mean?
Wow.
They'd be lying. They trick folks. Name the last great offensive lineman from the University of Alabama. I'll name you one. His name is Ryan Kelly. He just retired due to concussion issues. But outside of that, they don't produce. And I realized something, right? I used to give them credit for Landon Dickerson and Tyler Steen. Don't give them credit for those two guys because those two guys are transfers. They transferred to the University of Alabama, so they don't count.
They still count. They were Crimson.
No, not Tyler doesn't count. So if Proctor, Fanu, Francis, and Vega if none of them are at 14, then that'd be crazy. But I think one of them will be at 14. You just got to find, it depends on who.
And Tyler Booker's doing all right, isn't he?
He's only played 1 year, so we'll see.
I know. So
I mean, like, if those guys are off the board, like, somebody must have fallen then, right?
Yeah.
So
that means if if they're all off the board, then you go weapon. Either you go one of the receivers, or you go. I personally would wait to draft the tight end because I think there's a tremendous value. Evan Neal is from Alabama. Ernest, you're right, and he stinks.
That's what this is. This is PTSD from Evan Neal.
PTSD, exactly.
And this is some Bradley Bozeman erasure as well.
So, like, I mean, just run a quick mock draft. Like, like that means Jordan Tyson, Francis Malaga, Carnell Tate. I'm looking at the guys that I would want us to get. Not Caleb Downs. I know some people want Caleb Downs. Monroe Freeling, That's a tackle from Georgia.
Yeah.
You guys say him?
Well, yeah, he's projected to be in the 20s. So 14. Here's the thing is, do you care about the draft value thing where like someone's exactly. Because someone may say
to an
guys,
extent, obviously, like if it's somebody that's projected to be a third rounder, you don't get him in the first round, obviously.
Exactly.
Right? But somebody that's a first rounder and we know is going to play well for us, or we have a strong feeling that they'll play well for us, you get them. I don't care if we're picking 14 and that person isn't projected to go until 20. I don't care about that, right?
Well, the other part of that is just the people doing the mock drafts don't know.
True.
Yes. I mean, they get some insight, and then they're using their own opinions, obviously, for where these guys should go. But there was that safety, Mike Mitchell, who was drafted in the second round, right? And everybody laughed because they're like, "Oh, the Raiders drafted a 7th rounder in the second round. They're clowns." And then it came out after the draft that the Bears were going to take him.
That was Stanford route.
No. It was Mike Mitchell. Because Stanford route, they took in the first. Mike was the safety they took in the second, and he was projected by a lot of people to be a 7th round pick or a late day 3 pick. And then it came out that the Bears were going to draft him a few picks later, and that's why they had to go ahead and grab him.
No, I remember. I know what you're talking about, but Stanford route was a 2nd round pick. I remember that because that was Mike Mayock. It was like I don't know who that is, he's not on my board, and but of course he ran like a 4.2 40. He had blazing speed. I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
he wasn't second, but the guy I'm talking about is Mike Mitchell. It wasn't Stanford round, but Stanford was the second. I thought he was the first, but he was the second.
Yeah, second round, pick 47 in 2009. Yeah, for the Raiders.
I remember because we went cornerback. Not we. They went cornerback back to back, right? Wasn't that Fabian Washington? Was that the year he got drafted?
Not sure.
Okay,
not sure.
I got
but the point is that it's just that these guys don't. You don't 100% know where these guys are going to go, right? They're going off of what they hear from people, and then their own opinions, and sometimes you're just wrong on that kind of stuff. Yeah. And you get to draft day and they're like, "Oh man, this guy's falling." He's not really falling. It's just the league didn't like him as much as you did, or as much as the consensus did.
Right.
This was the Darius Hayward Bay draft.
Legendary.
They went with Darius Hayward Bay. Yes.
Love Darius, man.
Yeah. Then Mike Mitchell at
47. All-time Terps great.
That's right. There'll be no Darius Hayward Bay slander here. Okay.
Hey man, I remember. I don't remember. I saw a highlight of the game you guys beat Miami. You guys beat them 14-13. 2 touchdowns by Darius Hayward Bay.
Whatever.
Shout out to Darius.
Yeah. So again, let's talk about that Evan Neal Daniel Faalele combination if we want to bring up Miami.
Oh
but moving on, there is another team picking in the first round in a couple weeks. This team did not have a disastrous season like the Baltimore Ravens. This team won their division, went to the playoffs. It had a really uplifting season, honestly, and has carried that momentum into the offseason.
After years and years of struggle.
Carried that momentum into the offseason by signing Devin Lloyd and Jalen Phillips. And they're picking 19th. And look, they've set themselves up in free agency to be able to kind of just go with the best player available. They do have needs, obviously. They need depth on the O-line. They need another starting wide receiver. They need some help in the secondary. They need a linebacker. They need a little more help up front. I think a lot of people are mocking Kenyon Sadiq to the Carolina Panthers, which I would love. That's my guy at 19. But recently they have been meeting with a lot of corners. They're meeting with Jamad McCoy from Tennessee, who missed all of this past season with a torn ACL. And it started to look like maybe, they're leaning heavily in that direction. What would you guys think about a corner at 19?
Well, I was gonna actually, that's something I meant to talk to you about offline because I was looking through the timeline yesterday, and I saw they set up a lot of meetings with tight ends as well. Like there's a few tight ends that they're meeting with. I feel like they're really leaning towards tight end in the first round.
Well, but that's the thing. Like, there's only one first round tight end. So like those other guys, if they're meeting with them, that they're thinking day 2, day 3. And I think that's obviously if Kenyon Sadiq doesn't fall. That team, right.
So you think like the backup plan might be go corner?
I'm thinking it. It could very well be. I think there's going to be some value there. Avion Terrell took himself out of that conversation at his pro day where he ran I think he's still running the 40. It was pretty terrible. His RAS score came out. It was about a 4.3 or something like that. So he's, I'm sure.
I mean, that's not an NLB.
But it's pretty important at corner. You got to be an athlete at corner.
You don't want to be bad. You don't want to score bad.
Yeah.
He hurt his hamstring during the pro day.
Yeah, allegedly. He hurt his hamstring after he ran. I mean, it's he just ran slow and then said, "Oh, my hamstring hurts."
Well, he was unable to take part in the pro day.
Yeah, no, he ran at the pro, or not at the pro day, but he ran at no, he didn't run at the combine. He had another workout where he ran, and he ran slow, and then they said, "Oh, well, he hurt his hamstring afterwards." But the point is he's not going in 19. He's going to be he'll be there on Friday.
I really like Avion Terrell. Because I saw one of the reps he had in practice against some top receivers. He stuck on him like glue, and he was tremendous hip fluidity. He knew how to break on the ball. I'm actually a big fan. Gerard McCoy, he kind of scares me because he tore his ACL last year.
Yeah, first, I don't, listen, the tape should matter the most, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying with Avion Terrell. The tape look good.
It should matter, and yes, in the workouts you want to see that they have a baseline of athleticism. If it is like a hamstring thing, why he didn't run that fast, it is what it is. But unfortunately, like we've said before, man, like 40 times changes the hearts and minds of even the best evaluators. Even though they know the 40 time isn't everything, they want to see you run a fast 40 time to confirm what they believe in their mind that you run. And when you don't run that, then they think something's wrong. And what did he run, like a 4.6 something, right?
4.65. Yeah.
And can he run faster than that? Probably. And maybe it's not a 4.4 or 4.3. What if he runs like a 4.5? Is he too slow to play a position? No. Like what's his name? Richard Sherman ran a slow 40 as well.
But Richard Sherman went in the 5th, and that's what we're getting to here is that Avion Terrell is not going at 19. Not saying
he went in the 5th.
Not saying that he's a bad player, just saying that he's not going to be drafted there.
Oh no. I mean, I'm making no. You and I are on the same page. I'm just explaining the fairness why it shouldn't be that way. Like yes, like Richard Sherman, if they did a redraft, he wouldn't go in the 5th round because they know what kind of player he is, and they knew what kind of player he was when they saw the tape. But workouts didn't it deterred evaluators from making that move. So I mean, there's still a lot of flaws with these people that evaluate players, but unfortunately that 40 time does matter for where he gets drafted.
Well, a lot of it is projection as well, and if you're projecting the guy with more athleticism, in theory has the higher ceiling.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Because if you can only run a 4.6, you ain't ever going to get faster,
Mm-hmm.
Like, and you are what you are, right? But and Adelia says, "Come on, y'all! There's 113 of you watching, and you haven't hit 50 likes yet. Yeah, hit the like button, and if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button as well." But yeah, for Carolina, like I said, if Kenyon Sadiq's not there, it gets fairly interesting as far as what direction they're going to go in. Right, safety's probably not in the conversation at 19. Both the first round safeties will be long gone by then, but they can go corner.
There's 3 first round safeties.
Who's the third?
Emmanuel McNeil Warren, the kid out of Torito.
Gotcha.
So 3 of them.
Forgot about him. But they can go O-line. They're going to be in that range where you can go Caden Proctor, Monroe, Freeling, Lomu as well will be in the mix there. There's going to be defensive linemen, probably not linebacker at that high, but there's a lot of different directions that they can go in. Ferris, what do you think for the Panthers at 19? Let's assume Kenyon Sadiq's not on the board. What direction would you take that first pick?
Linebacker.
Wow. What linebacker?
Which linebacker?
You talking about CJ Allen?
Yeah, but there've been conflicting reports about CJ because at one point I saw him like he's like second round in the 40s, and then I saw someone else say he's in the 20s. I know you guys signed Devin Lloyd.
Yes.
But
that's why I wouldn't go linebacker on the first.
One second there. We did get a super chat from Blair. Thank you very much. Is at pick 14, who do you guys see as a perfect fit for Baltimore at O-line? Vega, Fano, or Francis? Do you guys also see Lamar getting extended ahead of next season now that he showed up to voluntary workouts? Thank you very much again for the super chat. Go ahead.
I'll answer it real quick, and then we'll get back to the Panthers draft. But the perfect fit out of those three, I think, is probably Vega, right? Inside O lineman. The most ideal for me would probably be Francis because he's a tackle that could start out probably playing guard and then kick out to tackle when we need to move on from Ronnie Stanley. Fano, I wouldn't be mad if we got Fano. I don't know, he's a tackle. I know people are talking about him, converting to center. He said he's willing to do it, and he might have the ability to do it. But yeah, in that order, I would go Vega, Francis, then Fano. Lamar getting extended, it depends on how well they fix this O-line before the start of the season. At this point, I don't see any rush if I'm Lamar, right? Like, they're not rushing to fix the O-line. They're not rushing to get him weapons. There's no rush to get the extension done. So he's under contract through next year. So
and from what I read initially when it happened, when they restructured his deal, that made it more difficult for them to do an extension, and so they were going to be kind of waiting on that. That may not be accurate. That's just what I read at the time, but I'm at this point not expecting an extension to get done. And I agree with you that Vega's probably the ideal pick there. I would go Fano next just because of the versatility.
Play left and right tackles.
Yeah, and possibly being able to start at guard, possibly being able to play center as well. And then Francis last, but you can't really go wrong with any of those picks.
Yeah. Now back to Ferris picking another linebacker.
No, you're right. You're right because Devin Lloyd, but that's like one linebacker. Who are you pairing him up with?
Didn't they resign Roseboro?
A couple. No, they didn't. He went to Tampa. We got two guys that we're going to pair up with Devin Lloyd. It's funny because they both kind of have a very similar name. It's TBD.
Oh, so. I don't even know. But then here's the thing too. With the linebackers too, someone pointed out Jacob Rodriguez. They're going to fall because they're off-ball linebackers. They're going to fall in the draft.
Yeah.
Not a lot of them go in the first round. Like the Luke Kuechly's. Yeah, you draft the Luke Kuechly, but the Luke Kuechly's and the alleged Luke Kuechly's in this draft are Sonny and Arvell Reese. Arvell Reese is going to become an end. Sonny will be the off-ball linebacker. But then that's it. Do you think Anthony Hill Jr. or CJ Allen are going to be there in the second round? I think they will because they're off-ball linebackers and they're probably going to fall. So you're right. I think to scrap that. Don't go linebacker. Then, which means you go corner or weapon. Corner or weapon. Because here's the thing too. Like I talked to you and Jay. You guys like J.C. Horn, and you guys think he's a good player, and you guys think Michael Jackson's underrated, a very good corner. But if someone told you we can give you an upgrade, are you going to say no? No.
So for me, I do agree that those are probably the likely options. For me, I'm going to take a wide receiver or a tight end there most likely.
Yeah.
Casey Concepcion will probably be there. And then I'm going to try to get Keontae Scott in the second round if he's available. They have also brought in Jalen Kilgore, who has the versatility to play nickel and safety, and he has the length that they like at that position. So I think that there are a lot of options to help out in the secondary that they can pick up later. I don't really think that's the case at receiver necessarily. I think that once you get past, probably your early third round or so, like the options really dry up at wide receiver in this class.
Receivers 3 years in a row, Kwame.
Hey, shut it.
Oh, but here's the thing too. Why not? You want to give you
draft till you get it right. Yeah,
exactly. Why not? Because here's the two. Like you talk about Casey Concepcion, Brodny. You have your ex on the outside and Ted McMillan. Mm-hmm. Omar Cooper Jr., who primarily at Indiana ran in the slot with Charlie Becker and the other slow dude, Elijah Surratt on the outsides. So you can have then Omari Cooper, who primary slot guy, can operate there as well. But also too, he's not your small slot guy. He's 6 foot 199. So he's a big slot. So
Kwame says they'll be 8 and 9 again. And trenches. Do you know who's in the trenches for Carolina, Kwame?
They put a lot of work into the trenches.
Yeah,
that's why they can
into the trenches.
That's why they can. And I agree with you. You start with the trenches, Kwame. You're right, but that's where they started. Like they put a lot of work on offense and defensive lines, so it gives them the luxury to make these type of moves. But speaking of trenches,
Robert Hunt,
Damian Lewis. They do have a. I don't want to say a hole at center because they did sign a starting center at Fortner. But they want somebody for the future there as well. On the other side, you got Derek Brown. They drafted 2 edges last year. They just signed Jalen Phillips. They do need to get a second guy next to Derek Brown.
Well, let me ask you this, because what do you think if Peter Woods is there? What do you think?
Peter Woods is he's kind of I don't want to say polarizing necessarily, but I think there are a lot of people kind of cooled on him because of the season he had this past year. Yeah, TJ as well. But the talk with Peter Woods is that they moved him inside, and that's why he didn't have the year pass rushing the passer that everybody expected.
But you pair him.
I probably wouldn't take him over a Concepcion. I wouldn't take him over a Kenyon Sadi. I wouldn't take him over some of the offensive linemen who may be there. Sure. And I think that you can get an interior D lineman a little bit later. And they did draft the kid out of Florida last year. They still have Tershawn Wharton, who they signed last year. They still have Bobby Brown, who they signed. I believe they still have Bobby Brown, who they signed last year. So it's not a urgent need right there.
And also, too, why go Peter Woods when you can go Caden McDonald, or
if you really want to take a big swing at that spot, you can wait a little bit and get Caleb Banks.
Yeah, right? He got injured.
Who's the
Lee Hunter,
planet killer from Florida, who does have the injury issues. Yeah.
Also, and Christian Miller as well from Georgia.
Yeah, so there's options out there.
Yeah, there's options. And then Jose's favorite guy, Big Citrus.
Dominic Orange.
The best nickname in the draft by far.
Yeah.
He'll be there a little bit later.
You have a couple of options in the third and second rounds for interior defensive linemen for the Carolina Panthers. But yeah, I'll go weapon or corner. One of them. Do you select one of the Tennessee guys? Because people talk about Gerard McCoy, but why don't we talk about the healthy guy in Colton Hood? You know what I mean? So Colton Hood, basically, when you look at their profiles and everybody, their profile, it's literally the same profile. They're physical in the run. They may miss a tackle, but all corners may miss tackles. Open field tackling is very hard to do. Even the great ones miss a tackle here and there. They know how to attack. They know how to attack the outs. Anticipation, and they're both big corners who won't get out physical. Yeah. Basically the same profile. You have a plethora of options. Yeah. Carolina Panthers.
That's the thing that I do like coming into this draft. They can take almost any position and get it right. There's almost nothing they can do that would be a bad pick. Yeah, honestly.
Just Aloe has a question. Says, did y'all hear about Mendoza making a racist post a few years ago? I didn't hear about that. What's a few years ago? Like he's 21? How old was he? 13?
No, he's 24.
Oh, they're older now, right? Yes, he's playing older now. So he's probably a grown man. No, I didn't hear about that.
Hey, bro, man, it's a Cuban from Miami. What are we expecting?
Yeah.
He's 22. He's 22. What?
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But yeah, I mean, look, next week you guys need to tune in because we're going to be doing our mock draft. We haven't decided on how many rounds or anything, but we gotta we gotta get our picks into Adelia so she can start putting together all the stuff for us.
Yeah, I was gonna ask Jay, if he has the time, if he wants to, after the overtime show, maybe just kind of run through a quick mock draft, just so we have those picks, and then we can get that ready to go. I'm seeing a post from Fernando Mendoza. I'm not sure if this is the same one that Just Al is talking about.
Under LeBron's post about George Floyd?
Yes. So there's a picture of George Floyd, and it says this, and then on a picture on the right of Colin Kaepernick kneeling, it says, is why, this, essentially. And Fernando Mendoza says, you need to explain the context of the first photo of the cop on the man, because you never know what he did wrong.
Yeah, that's, definitely, very Fox News-ish. You know what I'm saying? And it goes to tell you like what he's listening to out there. But I will say this, a lot of these young people, especially these young men, they get, pulled into certain echo chambers, early on, and they're fed a bunch of BS, and some of them, a few of them, as they get older and mature, they see that it is in fact BS, and
yes.
They change their minds a little bit. I'm not, and this isn't me trying to make any excuse for Mendoza, because he might just go hardcore in that direction. I don't know him personally, but that's not a good tweet. That's for sure. And he should be called out on that. He should explain that.
A tweet here saying that that the post was the day after Floyd's death. Like that, generally Mendoza legitimately could have been wanting context.
Yeah. Okay.
We don't know.
No,
and
yeah. I don't agree. If you want context, then see, when people say stuff like that, right? I understand we like younger generation, like they post before they think about things, right?
Yeah.
They just post it. But if you want information, go search it. Right.
Yep.
That's what they think it is when you post something that's asking a question. They think that's searching. They don't Google. They're not going to find it themselves. It's we're on Twitter right now. Educate me. Right.
Yeah.
So that's unfortunate. But
yeah.
He said, you got to explain the context of the first photo to the photo of George Floyd with his knee. Oh, what did he say?
The first photo was the
Colin Kaepernick was kneeling.
No, the first photo was of George Floyd with the cop kneeling on his neck, and he said,
yes,
you got to explain the context of that, because you don't know, never know what he might have done.
Oh, got it. Yeah, no, that ain't right. No, absolutely not. We all saw the video,
right?
And again, at that point, right, it doesn't matter what he did. He's on the ground, detained.
Yeah, no, like literally, like, oh, he was cuffed. All right, he's cuffed. Put him in the car.
And that's not him asking for information or clarity. Like that will be his way to kind of walk out of that. Back himself out of that. If he gets cornered on that question. But no, he's clearly making a statement saying, "Oh, he could have done something wrong. Maybe he deserved what he got."
Mm-hmm.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You need to explain. He said, you explain this photo. So this photo makes sense. Cause like, what I mean?
Yeah.
Like even if he was caught doing something, like was arrested, you still don't want cops.
And
Adil
is right about this. Adil is right about this. He was 16 when he made the post. So who knows what he meant, not making excuses for him. But I find most teenagers at that age to be uninformed about news. Facts. A lot of adults, a lot of young adults are uninformed about things like that. So I get it, and especially if you're listening to the wrong people out there. They're going to, unfortunately, like that's what we say. Like if you listen to Fox News, it's not real news. It's just right-wing propaganda, and you'll have a lot of people on there telling you things that are just flat out lies. So if that's where you're getting your information from, yes, I can see how you could kind of be steering in that direction.
They've been sued twice for lying, and they've lost both lawsuits.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know how you're still a news organization.
Right.
Like I get you gotta write like a Republican tinge to the news. Cool, that's fine. But you've been caught lying multiple times. You're not a news organization. You're so it's propaganda. So yeah.
All right. So you want to go ahead and jump into the court of public opinion here?
Let's start this. I'll probably hop off after this. try to rest up for the overtime show. This you guys, you want to be a part of the overtime show? Listen,
I got a question.
Hold on, I want to pull this real quick. You guys asked me this morning about this, and now we are delivering. Okay, boom, there it is.
Ooh.
There it is. Overtime show. You know, Diana Rossini, Mike Vrabel, locking eyes.
You could not tell me that dude on the left isn't JJ Redick in a wig.
Yeah, that is Cameron Boozer. And now on the right is Trinidad Chambliss. We're going to be discussing all that, plus the World Cup. We have a lot to discuss on the overtime show. Patreon.com/LBHT Show. The pin link is in the chat box. It's just $5. All right. Sign up. You get that, and $5 will get you access for the whole month. So check it out. It's going to be a fun time. What's your question, Ferris?
Did you guys miss what happened with Trick Daddy and the AKAs?
No, I saw that. So many questions. You know what? Hey,
ain't no clean versions.
Ferris, bring that up on the overtime show. Do not let me forget about that on the overtime show. Yes,
it's like I don't understand it. Man.
I have questions about. I saw when people were walking out. I was just like, did he just?
Like, what did you expect?
Right.
That's what he said.
Yeah, patreon.com/LBHT Show. We have a lot to discuss on the overtime show. All right. Also, channel members get access to that as well. All right. The link is already there on the community post. All right. Court of public opinion.
Yeah. What do you want to start with here? We got John Calipari and Jay Bilas. We got Geno Auriemma and Dawn Staley. And you got
I forgot to pull up the statement from Calipari. Yeah, let's do Calipari and Bilas first, and then I'm gonna hop off.
Okay, let's see.
So I put together this video.
Some would argue this is professional basketball. It is professional sports now.
It's amateur basketball.
It's not.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
It's not.
But well, then let's just call it pro and let it be a pro basketball.
Well, but when first of all, it was pro basketball before NIL, and I'll tell you why. Amateur sports don't make billions of dollars and pay their coaches and administrators millions. There is nothing about this that has ever been amateur once the money jumped up. And it started in 1984 with the U.S. Supreme Court ruling that allowed the conferences to sell their media rights. There is no difference between the media rights contracts with the NCAA from a media company like ours and the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball. Zero difference. And right now, when we're talking about this, we're kind of taking an old school mentality of, hey, it used to be a certain way, and that's fine. But if we want players to stay, then sign them to long-term contracts and put buyouts in them. But the NCAA doesn't want to do that because they don't want them to be employees. They want to beg Congress for an antitrust exemption, and they're not going to get it. What other multi-billion-dollar industry is getting an antitrust exemption from Congress? There isn't one. What the NCAA should do is make rules that don't violate federal law. The rest of American business has to do it. They can do it too.
And here's what I would say. If it comes a point for me personally where it's transactional, I'm paying, you're going to say I'm leaving, you got to pay me more, and I won't do this anymore. Then I might well be a pro coach. Just be a pro coach. They fired me, though. Did you know they fired me?
I just think we're talking about the one percenters. We're not talking about the enterprise. And we have young people that are making this money, and that's great. And they're going to go to Europe and get fired. And they're going to come back, and you talk about mental health issues. We better be prepared to help these people and have someone build a bridge for them to cross to help them navigate the rest of their life, not just these 3 or 4 years where they're marketable.
So
Jay, a kid's making $500,000 a year. He stays and he transfers and he makes $600 a year, and then he's done. No college degree. He goes to get a job, and the guy offers him $60,000. And the guy feels good about it. This is fugazi money right now, and you're right. There's so much of it. It's crazy. What do we do with that kid? Exactly now, all of a sudden, he says, $60,000? Do I get a car? Do I have to come to work? Do you get me? You're feeding me, right? The apartment. We're going to deal with mental health issues, and that's why I'm saying, let's collect the bargain. Let's have people in the room. We're finally talking about it to say it's an issue right now.
Yeah, so... And this might get taken down later. Who knows? ESPN is weird with their strikes, but look, it's a much longer clip. I clipped it down to like 3 or 4 minutes. It's almost like a 10-minute segment.
Yeah.
And there's a lot said in it, and you need to go and check it out. But I clipped it for time constraints. But yes, this has been a long-standing discussion. Jay Bilas has been on the right side for a very long time, and it's just funny how even as the tea leaves are changing, right, the wind is blowing a different direction, and people are getting on board with paying athletes, you still have like the old guards, pushing against it. John Calipari benefited from a system where other players, other teams can openly pay their players to go play for them, and Calipari could do it through other resources that he didn't have to tie himself to, right? But now that's out in the open, and anybody can grab talent. He doesn't want to compete, so that's why he's talking about, oh well, I'm not interested in this, if it's a transactional thing, and he's trying to make it about education, and it's not about education at all. It's about winning.
And it's always been transactional anyway. Like you didn't just convince people to come play for you; you gave them scholarships.
Yes.
Right? And the thing that always irritates me about these conversations, and it's only in basketball and football for obvious reasons, they talk about the players as if they're helpless, they're infants. Oh, well, he's going to make $500,000 a year, and then he doesn't have an education, and how's he going to get a job? Well, he's going to walk away from college with $1 million. First off, second of all, why wouldn't he have an education? He's at school, right?
Yeah.
So, and if he's going to school for 2, 3, 4 years, the only reason you're leaving early is because the NBA wants you, right? So you're not leaving after 2 years if you can't play and you're not going to get a job in basketball. So those guys who are staying 4 years, why wouldn't they have an education?
Yeah, they're gonna have a degree in something.
Well, and listen, if they don't get their degree, what makes you think that they don't understand that jobs are different from what they were doing in college playing basketball, and you're not going to walk into a $500,000 position, right? And then the other question is, what do you care, right? You're not having these conversations about the kids who are on academic scholarships. You're not having these conversations about the kids who are paying tuition to go to your school.
Right.
What happens to the kid who gets the art history degree and can't get a job when they graduate? Do you care? Are you talking about building a bridge for that kid, or are you just talking about building a bridge for the kids who are propping you up to make the millions of dollars that you're making?
Yeah, man. Like you're on a music scholarship at a school, and then you're doing work for Musically, and then let's say like USC Music School is pretty big. You're on there at a music scholarship, you're doing your music thing, right? And then at USC, someone says, "Hey, man, I really like what you work, and come on tour with me, help me be my engineer." You go on tour, work with the engineer, and then you come back to school. Nothing's wrong because you didn't break any rules because you took a year off, a gap year, or whatever the hell, to go do your thing. And 9 times out of 10, your school's probably gonna be happy that, oh, now we have someone in our program that worked for insert big artist here, and then you can then say you want to join our music program because this is what we do for you.
Yeah.
We put you in these positions, and then you create more revenue in that way because then people want to go to you because people don't understand this. But even in the sports game, your degree matters. You see everyone at ESPN, everyone at Fox, you look at their degrees, they're all from like the same 4 schools. They're all from the same like 4 or 5 schools. Cornell, Syracuse, Northwestern, USC, they're all from the same Florida, North Carolina. They're all from like the same 8 to 10 schools.
Yeah, your degree matters depending on the job that you get, right?
Exactly.
Like, look, I'm in the IT field. I have a degree, I have an associate's degree, but I don't have a bachelor's degree. And you don't need a bachelor's degree to go far in IT. You need certifications, right?
Yeah.
And there are all kinds of certifications that you can get that will look a lot better than getting a 4-year degree. If you're gonna be a plumber or whatever, you need to go to a trade school. Like, it all depends on what you're trying to do. So just saying, hey, this person needs a degree to set themselves up, depends on what they want to do. And that's the other thing too, right? It's all for show. When we're talking about signing these athletes and getting them scholarships and make sure they get an education, what are they getting the education in? right? Because you don't want because people like Calipari, who he makes it a business of getting one and dones so he can win championships. He doesn't want his players taking any classes that are going to be complicated, that are going to take up a lot of their time. They got to spend a lot of time studying, researching, and all that stuff. They need to be practicing.
Jose,
right?
North Carolina. There's an entire scandal at that school where they were taking classes that didn't exist. They had exactly. They had a group of tutors who did the homework for the basketball players and the football players.
Yeah, they had a whistleblower that she exposed all of it. Yep.
Mm-hmm. So they don't care about education.
I don't want to hear that from Calipari either, specifically, because Calipari famously encouraged players to leave if they had a shot at playing in the NBA. Daniel Orton, he played in the NBA. He was in the NBA for 4 years. He played a total of 51 games. He left as a freshman at Calipari's urging, and he ended up being the 29th overall pick, right? So he got a first-round contract. Okay. What happens after a couple of years and he's no longer in the league? He's 35 years old now. He's been out of the league for 10 years. What happened to him? Is John Calipari worried about the education that he got in his 1 year playing for John? Or did John say, hey, you know what? Money is money. He's talking about this money's fake. No, the money's real. The money's real. It's not going to last. You're not going to be making that money forever, but the money is very real. And if you can get it, you need to get it when you can. And then you can worry about the rest of it later. You talking about, he's not going to have an education. You know what he has? He has $500,000. He can go to whatever school he wants and get the education.
Also,
right?
too,
okay.
To the Jay Bilas thing of like signing to multi-year contracts. I think the real reason they don't want to sign them to multi-year contracts because recruiting 17 and 18-year-olds is not an exact science. You have no idea. That's if any of these they lie and say, oh, that's why they're not on multi-year deals. Because let's say they get a top 5 prospect, right? Like it's 5-star prospect, and you're like, oh my God, look at him, and they sign him to a 3-year deal, and they realize like, oh yeah, he just dominated short people all the time in high school. He was in a league that wasn't good in high school. That's why he dropped 45 points every game. He can't hack it, but now I have to keep him for 3 years.
I can't remember. I know that Miami has had a lot of top tier quarterback recruits. I can't remember the last time they've recruited a good quarterback though.
Exactly.
Right? They had Cam Ward for a year, who was a transfer. They had my man this year, who was a transfer, and listen, played much better than I expected of him this season.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, none of the guys they recruited panned out. And so you're exactly right. They don't want to be held accountable for making those mistakes. Mm-hmm. They want to give you 4 1-year deals so they can cut their losses as soon as they realize that it's not going the way they hoped it would go.
Exactly. And prime example, John Calipari. How many one and dones didn't pan out? Archie Goodwin, Khalil Whitney, Justin Evans, who now plays for the 76ers, but he didn't look good over there. Ashton Hagans. There's a lot of, I guess, not like graveyard or failed Calipari one and dones and failed Calipari players. One, because they probably weren't good, or 2, you didn't know how to develop them. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So
he didn't develop them, right?
Yeah, exactly. For every Alexander, you have like 4 guards who didn't make it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But I mean, yeah, but and I get what people are saying in the chat that, yes, education is important. That should be the focus for sure. But this is a business, right? Mm-hmm. And we only look at it differently because let's just be real about it. This is how Black athletes are stigmatized. This is really focused for the Black athletes, where we make this big deal about them getting paid. Basketball, football in particular, right? You don't really care about any of the other sports and how they conduct their business. You don't care how teenagers who leave high school and get a regular job, a full-time job, you're not worried about their education. We don't care about those things, right? But this is a job. This is a high-profile job, and it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and coaches are getting paid millions and millions of dollars. John Calipari gets paid millions and millions of dollars. So, the disparity in what they get paid, and the athletes don't get paid at all officially. That's illegal. It should not hold up. You have to pay your workers. And if you want to make it amateur, if you truly want to keep it amateur, then put a cap on when everybody gets paid. Put a cap on what you can charge people to go watch the game. Put a cap on the
salaries.
TV deals. I mean everything. Right?
Yeah.
It's amateur. We only make enough to keep the operations running. And coach's salary is 100%. I said this on the show earlier too. Go ahead and cap all coaches' salaries to $200,000. No more than $200,000. That's the max you can make.
Yeah. And, speaking of true
that's
amateur
good money,
sport,
right? He said 60,000 was good.
Yeah.
200,000 is pretty good.
It's pretty good. Also, true amateur sports, right? A lot of people may know it. Bob Hurley, senior. He coached at St. Anthony's for 45 years. And in St. Anthony's, they didn't have a lot of money, but they were paying him $9,000 annually, only $9,000. I think the last 5 to 10 years, he coached for free.
Yeah, he already made his money though.
Yeah, well, he was a probation officer on the side. The coaching at St. Anthony's was a side gig because he was a probation officer. So he had a job. So but then he became the principal and the coach.
In college or high school?
High school, true amateur sports, right?
Well, that's how it is in high school. Yes, that's how it is.
Exactly. You get an annual stipend. Either it's annually or monthly, depending on the school district, depending on the school. He was given $9,000 a year to be the coach, and then he gave it back and became the coach and the principal. Unfortunately, St. Anthony's closed, but he was also like I said, probation officer, so he had an actual job. So because true amateur sports. He didn't make money doing it, because if you want true amateur sports, you should not be making $9 million a year, John. Rick, John Schneider, Brad Underwood, none of you should be making that. You shouldn't be the highest paid public employee in any state.
Facts.
In the state of Alabama, the highest. Okay, my bad. Hit me again.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, the highest paid public employee in the state of Alabama for the last 15 years was Nick Saban, and they never said what his contract truly was.
That's the case in a lot of states. Anywhere where football is big or basketball is big, pay the bill says what happens when a guy has all the talent in the world but can't pass a spelling test. Well, this is where I would push back on what you guys are saying in the chat and what are they talking about the education mattering. Sure, it does for some people. It doesn't for Charles Haley, right? Who can go through college illiterate and go on to a long pro career and make money there. Like, the education matter. What do you get the education for? You get the education so that you can get a good job and make a good living, right? So if you can do that without a 4-year education, then the education doesn't matter, not to you.
Well,
right? So for a guy who has all the talent in the world and can't pass a spelling test, doesn't need to pass a spelling test.
Well,
he needs to go
and
pro
also,
and get paid to play.
And also, if you're in college and you can't pass basic spelling tests, then the issue started way before. Like, college isn't the place where you go to learn to read.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he was failed way before that. And if we really care about educating our kids in this country, and obviously we don't, then we would be way more focused on local politics and who we're voting for.
Yes.
Like what's going on with our school system. You'd be way more locked in than we are currently.
The school board at your local level.
I'm sorry, it wasn't Charles Haley, it was Dexter Manley.
Dexter Manley, yeah.
Not Charles. Not Charles.
See, Charles sitting there like, whoa.
Charles like, I can read, homie. You know what I mean? Like the local school boards in your locals are one of the most important elections in the country, because you got to know who's teaching your kids, what are they teaching, you know what I mean? So if you don't know how to read in college, something happened in middle school and high school. Something happened.
Well, what happened was you were taken advantage of because you can play sports.
Exactly.
And they didn't bother to educate you.
They didn't care.
But what I'm saying is, and that's an extreme example. But what I'm saying is, the education is for you to be able to get a job. Mm-hmm. If you have that kind of talent, where the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, the NHL, whoever it is going to hire you and pay you, then that education doesn't matter for you. And then you're in an ecosystem where you're going to have a job if you want it for however long you want it. Mm-hmm. Amp has sent in a super chat. Thank you very much. Amp says, in college, they used to tell us school comes first and hold up 2 fingers.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think I think there's 2 more. Let's move on.
Yeah. Let's go. You want to do Ebron next, and then I'll try and make
is that the video here?
Yes. Go ahead, Delia.
Andrew then decides that he's so tired of, he don't tell nobody this is the backstory. He's so tired of injury and he just doesn't want to do surgery. You know who the man is around there that gets on everybody's nerves. Big draws over there behind that desk. He tells Andrew, this is word, bro. He tells Andrew, you're either playing this year or we're moving on. Who the fuck would tell Andrew Luck that? Right?
That's crazy. I didn't
Andrew
know
Luck,
that. That's crazy.
Andrew Luck now says, I'm not going to be ready. I'm tired of playing with pain. I retire.
So that was Eric Ebron explaining his side of the story of what happened when Andrew Luck retired from the Colts. And the person that he's referring to is Chris Ballard, the GM with the Colts. And now I just want to put this out there. You know, I did a little more research on this. Andrew Luck put out a statement denying that's what happened. But some reporters are like, is it completely false? Like, like they parted ways. I don't believe they made him give back any money. So that might be one of those things where, like, look, you just don't talk bad about the organization and you can keep your money and retire quietly. But Ebron hasn't retracted anything he said. He seems like he stands on what he was saying. And I don't know. What do you guys think? Is this, you think there's something here, or is this something that's just made up for entertainment?
I think there's something there, and I think it's a classic case of misunderstanding leverage, right? Like, you can do that to certain people. You can't do that to Andrew Luck.
No, you
can't do that to Andrew Luck, who has made a lot of money in the pros and who came from money.
B froze.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. All right, go ahead, make your point.
No, like, exactly, man. You can't do that, and you can't do that to Andrew Luck, the guy who basically saved your franchise. Because the hardest thing to do, Jose, is to go from Hall of Fame quarterback to very good quarterback. You know what I mean? Like the Packers have been doing it for years, which annoys me. Like, they go from Favre to Rodgers to Love. It's pretty crazy. So going from Peyton Manning being bad for a year, then Andrew Luck, and automatically making the playoffs his rookie year. You lose to the Patriots because Tom Brady's Tom Brady, but you were a consistent playoff presence, thinking like, oh my God, did we make the right choice by letting Peyton Manning leave because of the next stuff? Yeah, you made the right decision, So, like, you don't do that to him. And this is, like, I think when there's smoke, there's a little fire. And Eric Ebron, man, he said it. He hasn't apologized. He hasn't done it. And you know what? Probably, man. I think there's some truth.
Beef, go ahead and finish your point.
I was just saying that, like, there's some people that you can do that to, unfortunately. And then there's some people that you can't do that to. And a guy who came from money, was the first overall pick and has made a bunch of money and is telling you that he's tired of playing hurt, meaning he's not enjoying playing, is not somebody that you can do that to. You suck as an organization. You aren't going anywhere. You haven't been a contender despite him being there. You failed to build around him. You don't have an O-line. He doesn't see this turning around. Future. So why would he cave into that threat? Oh, you're gonna have somebody else rupture their spleen? Oh no.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? It's like he's reluctant to return for valid reasons. You haven't done a good job protecting him at all. And during that time, that's when they were in the process of drafting O-linemen. So they recognized, like, hey, we got to go ahead and make this happen.
Quentin Nelson.
Yeah, Quentin Nelson. Yeah. But it was a little too late. And that's another person I look at when I look at Lamar's situation. I'm like, we can't be waiting too long for them to get it right. Now, luckily for Lamar, he started out his career with an excellent O-line, so it wasn't all bad from the jump. Andrew Luck was bad from the jump, man. Like, he had it really bad. And ruptured spleen, lots of injuries. Like, I remember when he talked about his retirement and he was talking about the injuries that he had to battle back from, like, he got emotional about it. Like, he was in pain, and it's one of those things where he's like, I'm not going to be one of those guys just playing through pain my whole career. I need time to heal. And I do believe, Ebron, there is something there to that, where it may not come out like that, but they might have said, hey, like, we can't keep waiting on you, like, to get better. Like, we might have to go in a different route, different direction if you're not healthy. Trying to kind of push him to return back, because Andrew Luck is a team guy, you know, and maybe they're trying to play to that a little bit, like, hey, don't let your team down, this and that. But
true football man.
When you're done, you're done, right? When they tell you, hey, I can't go through that anymore, like, you know, he like B said, he don't come from nothing. He come from a lot of money, and when you come from a family with money, and you come from a family that's telling you you don't need this, we got you, you know, you're good. It's a lot easier to walk away. It's a lot easier than having, you know, it's one thing if you have people to take care of, right? And you gotta keep playing, whatever. People are like, oh yeah, keep going, you gotta keep going. I don't think he's hearing that from his circle. Right. So yes, let's get to 100. Thank you.
Ryan Grigson, the GM who was there, being still employed by the NFL, shows you don't have to know anything about football to still be in the NFL front offices. So like I always say this, guys, if you're on Twitter and you're making GM decisions from your Twitter account and someone says you don't know what you're talking about, all you have to say is this: Ryan Grigson is the assistant GM of the Minnesota Vikings. That's all you got to say, because he knew nothing. He knew nothing. There's GMs who know nothing.
The Panthers once employed a guy that ran an Airbnb. So
no, he didn't run an Airbnb. He was a sportscaster. He was a sports radio guy, and they fired him, and then they hired him again.
Who?
Marty Herney. He was a sports radio talk show host. He got hired to be the GM. He got fired. They hired him again.
The Raiders literally hired a guy that did mock drafts for a living.
Yeah.
As the GM.
And then he took Cleveland Farrell 4th overall.
Mm-hmm. And then he had 3 first-round picks. And he got Jonathan Ebron and Josh Jacobs.
Missed on 2 of them. And
then the next year he gets Alex Leatherwood and Trayvon Moehrig. And then Alex Leatherwood ended up ousted after 1 year.
Trayvon's good.
Trayvon Moehrig, yes, he's
solid.
Good.
He's solid. All right, I'm gonna hop off. I'm gonna try catch you guys on the overtime show. Listen, patreon.com/LBHT Show. All right, we have a lot to discuss, so I'm gonna try and make it back for that. Ferris, I appreciate you holding it down for me. Y'all go ahead and continue. Adelia has the information for Calipari's his quote for the Dawn Staley thing when you guys are ready.
Auriemma.
Yeah.
Oh, I said Calipari. Yeah, Geno Auriemma. Yes, they're both annoying the hell out of me right now. I got both of them on the brain. All right, y'all. I'll see the rest of y'all overtime show.
I can't believe you guys hired a Washington Post beat writer. That's crazy.
You know what? Whatever, bro. All right. Okay. So you want to kind of tell us about the wow, you can fallen
no, I will not.
I will get Ferris a fallen lay jersey.
No.
So do you want to bring us up to speed on what happened between Geno Auriemma, eternal villain, a-hole, worst dude on the planet, and Dawn Staley, everyone's favorite coach?
Yeah, pretty much. Here's what happened, right? It was a national NCAA women's national semifinal. It was a rematch from last year's championship. It was South Carolina, UConn.
Who won last year's championship?
UConn won the title last year. It was a rematch of the title game. Game ends. South Carolina beat UConn by double digits. Mm-hmm. Both teams played absolutely horrible. Like UConn.
One team did.
No, trust me. Both teams did.
What? One team won and one team played.
That's a good point. I think offensively both teams played bad, but defensively South Carolina played very well, and they beat them. And then during the handshake line, they're gonna shake their hands. Thing is like 0.1 seconds left on the clock, and they're shaking their hands. And then Geno Auriemma, they in the handshake line, starts yelling at Dawn Staley and started pointing at the ground. I don't know what he said. We still don't know what he was said because the angles couldn't get it's loud in the arena. You don't really know. But then they start yelling at each other. You know, one of his assistants is pushing him away. And then they start yelling. And then there's a video of her after the incident, Dawn Staley, where she says, "I'm going to beat Geno's ass." Yeah. And I quote, literally quote, "I'll beat Geno's derriere." And I quote. And then people were like, what happened? Like, what happened? Geno says
there was a moment there where Dawn clearly activated.
She was ready to whoop him. Geno says he was upset because they didn't do the customary beginning of the game handshake. That that handshake they do where they announce the lineups, both lineups are announced, and then the head coach is blah blah blah, the head coach is blah blah blah, and they go and they shake the hand. But there's video evidence of her shaking everybody's hand, where she shook everybody's hand and and then she went about her way. Then there's another video where Geno again walks to the area where they do the ceremonial handshake. So probably Dawn was like, we already shook hands.
Right.
Why do we need to do it again? Geno's like, let's do the ceremonial thing again, because that's what they always do. And then he lost his mind. And he was like, I said what I said. And she's like, I'm not going to talk about him right now. I'm not going to let this situation dampen our moment, and that's it. And I'm not talking about it. We're moving on. She said, you asked Geno. You don't ask me. You asked Geno. Yeah. And then after the game, the national title game, UCLA, South Carolina, UCLA wins. They asked Dawn Staley again. She's like, I'm not talking about this because I'm not going to allow you guys to dampen UCLA's moment. It's the first NCAA championship. I think they have one in 1978, but it wasn't the NCAA yet because the first ever NCAA championship was in 82. She was like, this is their moment. I don't want to talk about it. We're going to talk about UCLA like a proper coach. Shout out to Dawn. And then they both released a statement. He released three statements were released where he talked to Dawn. He apologized. There's no excuse of how I handled the end of the game versus South Carolina. He says all about that, but he doesn't say Dawn's name.
Yeah.
Like there's a statement. That's a long statement. I'm not trying to waste everybody's time. You read the statement. So he basically apologizes for the situation to South Carolina, but everyone kept pointing out like, oh, there's something you forgot. You didn't name Dawn by name.
Yeah.
Then the second statement, he then names her by name. He says, oh, we talked. And then their statement, South Carolina statement said, oh, they've talked. They're moving on. So let's move on. So they moved on. Geno Auriemma has always been, I'm going to start being more professional because I took some advice. I'm going to show more professionalism. Yes, words that I'm no longer going to be saying on air, even though I think he's always been that. Always been. Pat Summitt does not like him. Never stopped liking him. Muffin McGraw hates him. He hates Muffin McGraw. They all hate him, right? But, this is, I'm not saying but that's the thing. He's saying this is not who he is. He doesn't do this. Yes, he's lost his, non-stuff, but he's never really done it there's he's kind of passive-aggressive with the coaches. They're passive-aggressive. He's never been full, aggressive. So that's what happened this time around. And a lot of people were like, bro, what the hell was that?
Yeah, what happened is he got blown out.
Yep.
And he didn't appreciate it. And he threw a little tantrum. Normally you could just issue the apology and people will kind of move on from it. But you've been a jerk your entire career. But nobody really likes you outside of UConn.
No, but here's the thing too, Brodny, is South Carolina has blown him out before in a title game. He didn't lose his. He shook at the end of the game. He was like, oh, we got blown out by 30. He goes, he shakes Dawn's hand. He says, congratulations. Then he moves on. So I don't think it's the being blown out part.
It could be the expectation, right? Maybe you say, we're not, we are the better team. We should win. We got blown out. Whereas before it was kind of, okay, we're down a little bit.
We had 4 injured players. Yeah.
They're a juggernaut. That's okay, fine, whatever. Or it could be something else. It could be something else going on in his life, and he let it seep in and had a bad reaction at the end of the game. And it's fine. Okay, you yelled at somebody.
There's a theory.
What's the theory?
There's a theory by Holly Rowe. Holly Rowe's very plugged in. She's plugged in. Like her or hate her, Holly Rowe's plugged in. And one year she is being interviewed by Sue Bird and Megan Rapinoe on their podcast, where she talks about sometimes Geno does something where we talk about him instead of what happened in the game, where he takes the eyes away from something and onto him.
Mm-hmm.
Someone said that's like, oh, but then someone's pointed out, it's like, because they're like, this is like the most nonsensical thing that happened. Like, this is pretty crazy. She shook your hand. She like, I don't understand why you were doing this. Some people are saying, like, yeah, because you're talking about Geno and you're not talking about how both of his star players played absolutely awful.
Mm-hmm.
Where the story isn't that Sarah Strong and AZ Fudd did nothing.
Yeah.
The story is, why is Geno acting crazy?
Right. And you could, say that's a honorable thing to do to try to shield your players, right? But there are other ways to do that. Mm-hmm. And like I said, when you have the reputation that Geno Auriemma has, that's not going to be the prevailing narrative. The prevailing narrative is going to be you're an a-hole.
Sore loser.
And you're a sore loser. You got your ass kicked and you didn't like it and you went after the coach.
Yeah, absolutely.
Delia says Geno is a dick for not mentioning Dawn in the first statement. It's so dismissive of a female coach who coached her team to be better than his team on the night.
Absolutely. And I don't appreciate that we're talking about the situation, because we should be talking about UCLA.
Mm-hmm.
UCLA gave up 95 points in 2 games. That's a defensive masterclass by UCLA. They showed you that in the world of, like a lot of transfers, right? All their points in these 2 national title games, all of their points were scored by seniors. Every single point. They showed you a UCLA Bruin through and through, and Gabriela Jaquez. She Bruin through and through. How this was a 4-year build. 4-year build for, I think 5 because of COVID, where she finally got her title. Lauren Betts, fighting insecurities and imposter syndrome and, transphobic vile that people assume, because people are like, oh, I don't think she's a woman, like those types of people, because she's 6'7" and her voice is a little deep. They do that stuff. Mm-hmm. And so she's gone through a lot of dark with her mental health. She's been very open. She wants people to feel wonderful in her skin, wonderful. And that's what we should be talking about. We should talk about Lauren Betts, possible number 1 overall pick in the WNBA draft, by the way. I think her and Iowa Fam should be in the running for that, because I think Dallas needs to go big, because that's what they really need. They need a solid inside presence in the post. That's what we should be talking about. Corey Close, 15 years in the making, winning UCLA's first title. One of John Wooden's disciples, basically. Because every Tuesday when she was at UCLA, she would talk to John Wooden every Tuesday until he passed away. So you can say she's a John Wooden disciple in a sense. You know what I mean? Unlike, the other side, Mick Cronin, who doesn't know what the hell he's doing, and one of his star players goes to Michigan and wins a national title. But, I digress. Yes. Speaking, but yeah, that's what we should be talking about. UCLA. But we're talking about this, and I don't like how Geno did that. That's not okay.
Like I said, even in that theory, that Holly Rowe put out there, you're not taking the focus off of your players playing poorly. You're taking the attention away from everyone else. You're taking the attention away from the team who beat you. You're taking the attention away from the team who eventually won the championship. So there are other ways that you could have accomplished that goal, if that's even what it was. But I think I honestly think it was just he couldn't handle the fact that they got severely outplayed. They got blown out, and he just didn't like it.
Yeah, because now he realizes something, like he needs guards that can create. He's now realizes him, like all his guards. No offense, I love K9. K9's pretty good. I'm a big fan of AZ Fudd, but the problem is off the dribble.
Remember you talking about AZ Fudd?
I thought she was going to improve this year. Yeah. I thought she was going to improve this year with the off the dribble. There was some points of the game where she was scared to take the jump shot, and coming off the dribble, she wasn't really showing any improvement there. Her and Katie Heckle, great motor, tremendous motor. She kept them in the game a little bit. They cut the lead down to 1 at one point, because 3 straight threes, right there, Brodny, 3 straight threes. They didn't, it was catch and shoot. Catch and shoot, boom. But when they forced UConn to dribble and to create their own shot, the guards were like, what is this?
Yeah.
I don't know what this
creation.
is. Yeah, what is that? That's what happened.
Yeah,
and he needs to start recruiting guards that can take people off the dribble and create their own shot.
Yeah, you know what he needs to retire. I'm tired of looking at him. I'm tired of hearing about him.
Yeah, man,
Screw UConn. Screw Geno Auriemma.
Yeah,
that's what this comes down to.
Yeah. And when DT calling you out, like DT, he's not the bastion of sportsmanlike conduct. Yeah. That's all I got to say. When she's calling you out, you messed up. And I think that's why he finally realized, like, oh, snap, my alums are not on my side. and I need to check myself. And I'm pretty sure conversations were had, like, yo, what the hell's wrong with you?
Right.
Because
it reflects on everybody.
Exactly. Because they talk about what Geno did for them and what greatness he did for them. So you can't make them look dumb. Like, oh, well, what are you guys talking about now? He's kind of like, it's like, but like when Diana talks about him, Sue talks about him. Yeah, he's tough. He's hard on them, but he also loves them and he wants to see them great. We see the antics of him and DT and Paige. That's their relationship. But in the back room, he's probably like, I love you to death. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So, they're talking your praises and you're doing that. You make them look stupid. And Donna Taurasi, one thing you're going to not make Donna Taurasi look like, you're not going to make her look stupid.
Well, I don't think it makes them look stupid. I think it makes himself look stupid, and it just makes them.
It's like, like where's the Geno they're talking about?
Reluctant to continue singing his praises.
Yeah.
But yeah, Geno's the villain here. Geno's guilty, as always.
He's guilty.
We're going to go ahead and move on to.
Same thing with Calipari. He's guilty too.
Absolutely.
Don't ever argue with Jay Bilas.
I used to like Calipari. Because I thought he was for the player. I thought he was pro player and encouraging guys to go get paid and everything. But he comes across real slimy in that segment.
Because the guy who told DJ Wagner to go to the pros and make a bunch of money, and then realizing that actually saved his life and unfortunately he ended up getting that disease later on, that ended up ending his career. But Dewan, not DJ. DJ's his son. Sorry. Dewan, he's known, he told Dewan, hey man, go make the money. He got a first-year NBA contract. He made some good money. And then unfortunately his career ended up ending because of the disease. But he had enough money to, have a nice life for himself. And the world's champion because now his son DJ is transferred from Arkansas. And that, I don't know, and he knows that family for 25 years. So that was like your uncle telling you gotta go. You gotta go somewhere, dog.
All right, we are gonna go ahead and get into the submitted questions, and then we're going to wrap things up and head to the overtime show. Like I said, we have a lot of topics for the overtime show. So we'll get through these here, and we'll see you on the other side. If you're not already subscribed or if you don't know about the overtime show, it's a live show we do after this show every Wednesday where we talk about any and everything. For example, this week we're going to be discussing the executive order regarding the NCAA. We're going to be talking about the World Cup. We're going to be talking about more teams being added to March Madness because that's what it needs. And we're going to be talking a little bit about Diana Rossini. But first off,
and Trick Daddy.
Yes, and Trick Daddy. We have some submitted questions. First from Urban. Thank you very much, Urban. He says, will EDC survive the season? Absolutely. They're going to be good. They're going to win the division. They're going to the playoffs. He's not going to get fired.
Yeah, you said the same thing last year, Brodny. Look what happened. They missed the playoffs. No, I know, but like saying like, oh, they're going to have a good season. They're going to make the playoffs, all that stuff. We said that last year. A lot of people did, and it didn't happen, and it cost John Harbaugh's job.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a foregone conclusion, but I think the thing that really helps them is Mike Tomlin's no longer there. So Mike Tomlin's no longer going to eat John Harbaugh's lunch. I think Jesse Minter could beat Mike McCarthy.
It was a lot of things that had to come together to keep Baltimore out of the playoffs last year. Yeah. I mean, as bad as they were on defense, as bad as they ended up being on offense with the O-line, with Lamar getting hurt, it came down to their kicker missing his first field goal from under 50 yards all season to keep them out of the playoffs. So I feel pretty comfortable with Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and Cincinnati being the opponents. I feel pretty comfortable saying they're going to win the division.
Yeah. Well, also too, I say that about Mike McCarthy, but Mike McCarthy, he may not have a lot of playoff success, but he does get you about 10 to 12 victories a year. So maybe Pittsburgh is
potentially not with Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback. Or Will Howard, I guess.
We'll see. We'll see.
I don't know who it is. Next, this is also from Urban. He says, when will John Inner Harbor learn from his mistakes?
Never.
Don't look for stats when you come here, not knowing how many carries his running backs have. Shall proceed. He's never going to learn. He's too. No. He won a Super Bowl. He thinks he won it his way, and he just got set in those ways. He doesn't want to change, and he doesn't have to. Right? He's had a lot of success in the NFL. He's always going to have a job in the NFL, and coaching his way is more important to him than competing for a Super Bowl at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So,
because here's the thing, man. Here's the thing about Bill Belichick. I always throw back to Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick didn't have a way. Mm-hmm. He was kind of like the Patriot way, but the game planning and the way his teams played, there wasn't a set way. Yeah. The set way was, what does this team do, and how do we stop them?
Yeah. And how do we put our players in the position to use their strengths?
Exactly.
Right. And that's what a real coach is like, right? You have to be able to adjust to your roster. You have to be able to adjust to your opponents, and that's not what John Harbaugh's been about. John Harbaugh hired Greg Roman. If you want to know, bless you. If you want to know how, bless you. If you want to know how learning from his mistakes is going. Exactly,
man. Because for every Jonas Gray 4-touchdown game, you have James White catching 15 times for 130 yards.
Yeah.
2 different running backs.
Game too easy. This one he's posted specifically for Jose. He says, if EDC wasn't the GM, who would you have wanted for that position? I mean, it's kind of tough to say at this point. I mean, that was 8 years ago. And you know, front office people aren't really known like that to fans. You kind of have to be inside to know who is really ascending and who would have been a good pick for that. But the answer appears to have been not EDC.
Well, yeah, also too, like a lot of people know these GMs when GM jobs become free and everyone starts diving deep. Because I remember when Joe Schoen was on the chopping block, people started talking about Martin Mayhew, the guy from Detroit, because he worked for the Giants under those 2 title teams. So he knew the organization. So people, then, Ryan Poles a couple years ago, Adam Peters, Brad Holmes for Detroit. He came from the Rams. So you start finding out these people all the time. But then, there's a couple of people you don't really know. Like, I think there's this one dude in the Giants. There's 2 dudes who worked for the Giants. One is still there, Brandon Brown, who was the assistant GM in Philly and became he was the director of player personnel in Philly, then became the assistant GM in New York. Plus, there's another dude who joined Joe Schoen, but now he's the assistant GM in Buffalo or Miami, I think. One of them. I don't know. I got to find the name. But you don't really know the names. You don't really know until you need a GM. You don't really know.
Last up, this one's from Kwame. Thank you very much, Kwame. He says, do y'all think the Patriots trade for A.J. Brown falls through because the blowback from Rossini Gate? Can't even imagine the firestorm from her unequivocal reporting about it. No, the trade's going to go through. And honestly, I don't think there's going to be much of a blowback at all. I don't think any kind of blowback. And what blowback there isn't going to have any effect on Mike Vrabel or the Patriots. If there is any, it will be centered on Diana. And also you got to remember too, this is the 3rd time that she's been mentioned in a scenario like this. But thank you very much, Kwame. But join us for the overtime show. We're gonna talk some more about that, unfortunately. But I think that is about it for tonight. Thank you all so much for joining us. If this is your first time here or you haven't yet, you head over to LBHTShow.com. You can get some of our merch there. You can head over to patreon.com/LBHTShow to join up monthly if you want to support the show. That'll get you into our Discord. That'll get you into the overtime show every week. And because he always says in our Discord, we don't throw anybody out. If you sign up and then you stop your membership, you stay in the Discord and you get to hang out with Ferris. Ferris is there quite a bit. He's the local cop in the Discord. So don't go running when he questions you to begin with. He doesn't have any real power, but he'll be there to welcome you.
Well, welcoming guy.
You are a very welcoming guy. And Ferris, again, thank you so much for co-hosting, for sitting in for Jose, and let the people know where they can find you and your content.
Right there, man. It's right in my name, at LGRN _ GFBR on YouTube. That's where you look. We're at 394, 5 subscribers. I think we're 5 or 6 away from 400. So hit that like, hit that subscribe. I appreciate it. Also on our entertainment channel, if you like movies, you like movie reviews, you like TV reviews, we talk about them. We are 11 away from 1100.
Nice.
So, we're trying to get to 1100. So make sure to hit like and subscribe over there. It's LGRN post credits. So be on the lookout for that as well. But yeah, because we're coming up, there's going to be a new series, a new review series me and Dealer are going to do. If you guys like, awards and Oscars and stuff. So be on the lookout for that. So yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be on both channels, correct? You're doing a new show on both.
Oh, that's the Pulse. The Pulse is that's a Friday show. And 1 week will be post credits. It'll be entertainment based, and then the following week would be GFBR, which is sports based, and then vice versa. So 1 week we'll be talking about entertainment. The next week some sports, and then entertainment, sports. First episode is April 17th. Be on the lookout for that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Good Friends, Better Rivals got some good stuff coming up 100%. So if y'all are into sports, if you happen to be a Giants fan, I know there aren't many of you. If you are a Cowboys fan, if
we have
you're
others.
A Steelers fan,
yes.
Or if you just like watching people crash out over their terrible teams, head over to Good Friends, Better Rivals. It's a weekly occurrence over there. Their teams are trash, not like the Panthers over here.
Well, Brodny?
Yes.
We actually have we're gonna have a special. We have a show. If any golf fans here, this coming week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but Sunday's a little special. The fairway, we're doing Augusta National. The Masters are this weekend, so join me and Ryan as we break down each round. Ryan will be doing it with himself on Saturday. But yeah, Thursday, Friday, Saturday we'll be doing shows. On Sunday, we'll be doing a watch along of the final round of the Masters. Can Rory repeat, or can someone else take that golden jacket from him?
I surely hope not.
Yes.
But again, that is about it. Thank you so much, and we will see you again next Wednesday.